Hey everybody! Well, a lot of people have asked in the most recent episode, what's up with Esperanza's nose and some people saw on her arm. There's something going on there. It's basically all healed up now. It doesn't look bad at all. So we're going to tell you all about that and about our medical trip to La Paz. So you want to check it out on this week's episode. We're Douglas and Esperanza, and we decided to leave our lives in the U.S., sell almost everything we own, and move to Baja California Sur, where we decided to start a resort in the magical town of Loreto, Mexico. Please come with us to follow our journey and live before you die. So, a couple weeks ago, we took a trip to La Paz, and we live in a small town. It's only about 10,000 permanent residents and another maybe 10,000 people that come here during the high season. And so we do have a hospital here. We do have several little clinics and lots of doctors that are fantastic here. We can also get imaging of x-rays and ultrasounds here, but for more involved medical procedures or imaging, we have to go to a bigger city because we just live in kind of a small town. So La Paz is the closest big city. It's about 3.5 hour drive away, and they have everything there that we need. They do CAT scans, MRIs, all the procedures. They have, cardiologists there and all kinds of specialists. So we were going there. Now, we had a couple of medical things we wanted to take care of while we were there. And one of them was a problem that Esperanza had been having. And we had some preliminary medical procedures done here. And then they recommended we go to La Paz for a CAT scan, CT scan. So why don't you tell us what was going on?
I've been having leg pain for about 6 months, and at times it's so incredibly painful I don't even want to walk. So we went into the doctor here in town, and then he sent us to the ultrasound guy, and it was actually the doctor that performed the ultrasound on my entire leg. It took about 45 minutes, and he gave us the results right there. And it was kind of nice. You don't have to wait for that phone call to find out what's going on.
We went to the doctor. That took us like 1 day to get an appointment. Called in, next day go to the doctor. He said he would like to get an ultrasound. Ultrasound was scheduled for the next day. So not a big time period. And the ultrasound is literally like 3 blocks from our house where the ultrasound was, the clinic is.
That's nice.
So that's one thing we really love it about here, that you can get appointments almost always the same day or the next day. Even if it's a specialist, it's usually not a problem. One of the other things that's really nice about living in Mexico is that health things are very inexpensive. So, for example, when we were there, we see the doctor, we see a private clinic physician, and his standard fee is 600 pesos, which is about $35. And a lot of times, if you need to sit with him for a half an hour, 45 minutes, he'll sit with you, discuss it, go over everything and examine you for a long time. You don't see any nurse. There is no nurse. The doctor does everything. So you have the doctor right there in front of you the entire time. And
nice.
You almost always get their private cell phone number, so you can text them or email them. If you have questions, even call them. And then we went to the ultrasound, and the ultrasound was 1,400 pesos,
I think so.
I believe, which is about $85. And that was a pretty in-depth ultrasound, the entire leg, and they checked in the carotid arteries and the neck. So it was a pretty involved ultrasound. Again, there's no nurse, there's no technician. You're seeing a doctor who is a specialist and runs the ultrasound and then gives you the results immediately right there.
yeah, as he's doing it, he's telling me, oh, I see this or I see this. And the awesome thing was he was doing my leg. That's what the appointment was for. And then I was like, well, will you check my carotid arteries? And he was like, yeah. So then he does that too. And he says, oh, they're fine. Everything's great there. So, you know, in the States, you'd have to say, oh, the doctor didn't prescribe that for me to do. So you're going to have to make an appointment with him and get an actual, like,
Order.
Yeah, order or something.
So what was the diagnosis?
Venous insufficiency, which the blood in my veins doesn't flow back up to my heart. The arteries push everything out, and that does good, but the veins aren't bringing it back up.
At this point, we've already talked to the doctor here. We've gotten the ultrasound, gone back to the doctor. The second time you go back to him, it's free. Mm-hmm. He didn't charge us anything. He looked at the ultrasound results, and that's when he talked about, what the ultrasound, the doctor in the ultrasound, what he thought was going on. And he said, well, to confirm this, we should probably go get a CT scan, and we need to go to La Paz to do that.
Right.
So we planned a trip to La Paz, and we actually had a bunch of people staying. So we probably could have made this appointment like within a couple days if we just wanted to go to La Paz and get this over with. But we couldn't because we had all this stuff going on. We had guests here and everything. So we actually scheduled it out 3 or 4 weeks. But we picked a date we wanted to go. We called them up, and we were able to get the appointments literally on the day that we asked for, when we asked for them. We wanted this particular day in the afternoon. Doctor's like, sure, yeah, we got that appointment. So we were able to get it all set up. So we took a trip to La Paz. So the first thing we had once we got to La Paz was a CT scan for Esperanza, so that we could get results to take to the cardiologist, the vascular surgeon, the next day. And they did CT scans, MRI scans, and ultrasounds there. Esperanza needed a CT scan with contrast, and that's the most expensive CT scan. They had like a menu up on the wall of MRI scans, CT scans, with and without contrast, and they had a couple, 3 or 4 different options for MRI and 3 or 4 for CT scans. This was the most expensive CT scan, 6,500 pesos, which is about $350. So that's out of pocket paying for a CT scan and with contrast. I did see that the most expensive MRI scan with contrast was 8,000 pesos, which would be about $450 or something like that. The less expensive without contrast were about 3,000 pesos, so that's only like $175.
Yeah.
And that includes a radiologist to review it. They give you a CD with all of the CT scan on it, and the radiologist sends a full report to your doctor. So all that for $350 out of pocket. And it's a regular CT scanner like you'd see in any hospital. I've got some pictures right here of Esperanza in the appointment doing the CT scan.
So I go in for my appointment, and she says, have you eaten? And I said yes, because I had a little breakfast. And she says, oh, well, we can't do it. Come back tomorrow. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Nobody said anything about not eating.
Another thing that happens here in Mexico that would never happen in the U.S. If you did this in the U.S., they'd say, okay, make another appointment for a month from now, because that's how long it took you to get the first appointment to go to the CT scan.
That's true.
Here, they were like, well, it's like noon. So the lady goes, come back at 6 o'clock because that's 6 hours from now. And we're like, okay. So we came back at 6 and did the appointment. And if we couldn't have done that, then we would have had to push off our doctor's appointment the next day.
Right.
And it all would have been, we drove all the way there for nothing. We went to our appointment, and we went to a medical clinic. And it's kind of a medical clinic like you'd expect to see here in the U.S., where there's a whole bunch of different specialties, and there's a bunch of different doctor specialists that have offices there. And then there's a hospital basically right in back of the medical clinic where they do surgery, where they do all the surgeries and all the medical procedures. And the clinic has a pharmacy there and just pretty much everything in a clinic like you'd see in the US.
Yeah.
So we went into the doctor's office, and there actually was another doctor leaving. Now, this is one way they keep the costs down here in Mexico, and why you can go to see a doctor for $35 and see a specialist for $35 or $40,
Yeah.
because here, like at this clinic, they have little offices that are a front office with a waiting room, and then an office where the doctor can do an exam and he has his desk in there. This office was shared by 4 different doctors. So each doctor has hours, certain days of the week. So one doctor has, like a 4-hour chunk, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, one Tuesday and Thursday. And there is no receptionist, there's no nurse, it's just a doctor. But this is an awesome way to keep the costs down, because instead of going to a huge clinic where there's all these administrative people, all these nurses, all this thing that they have to pay for, this way you just have 4 doctors sharing a little office, and they can keep their expenses down. So we go into the office, and the doctor is a cardiologist and a board-certified vascular surgeon. We have looked him up. He's ranked one of the top doctors in Mexico, one of the top cardiologists in Mexico.
Surgeon.
So this was great. Yeah, a surgeon, cardiologist. So we were excited to be able to see him. We went in there, and as I said, the other doctor was leaving. They were just finishing up their hours. So we sit there. The time comes that we're supposed to be at our appointment, and the doctor doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And so we wait about another 15 minutes, and we're like, did we get the time wrong or something?
Yeah.
So I text the doctor, because we had his private number. And I texted him, and I said, we're waiting here in the office, and, we had an appointment at 2 o'clock. And it went by a little bit. We waited, I think, another 10 or 15 minutes, and we were just getting ready to leave. But then he texts me, and he says, I'm really sorry. I had emergency surgery. I got called into, immediately. And he said, I've just finished up, and I'm sorry I missed the appointment. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, these things happen. And because you don't have all this administrative things, all a nurse, everything else, I'm sure it's the doctor gets a call, somebody's in a life-threatening situation. He has to run to the hospital as fast as he can and do surgery. He's not thinking about, I've got an appointment at 2 o'clock. I need to call the people and tell them. So we totally understand. And I would rather have less expensive medical care and have to sit somewhere for 15 minutes and somebody doesn't show up. So it was no problem, and we were going to reschedule. So I asked him, can we reschedule because we're here? Can we reschedule maybe tomorrow or something? He says, no, I'll come right over. He was at the hospital that's basically right in back of the clinic.
He just shows up super nice, apologetic, shakes our hand, takes us in the back, and he looks at all of the video DVDs and everything of the
DVD of the CT scan, which we had gotten previously.
Yes. And the report from the
radiologist.
Yes. So after reviewing all of the test information that I had for him and talking to him, he examined me, looked at my legs, and pushed on them and did different stuff and examined me. And then he sat down and he goes, I think you're fine. It's just the blood's not moving back up, which doesn't sound fine to me, but
he said he was trying to calm you because, of course, you had read a whole bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. This venous insufficiency can be anything from an annoyance to very, very critical. I mean, you could have your leg amputated if you had a extreme case of it. So, of course, you were concerned. And so the doctor was basically trying to reassure Esperanza that that this wasn't a serious case. This has not progressed or is not at a point that it's anything that's a severe worry.
So we got done with the appointment and we were ready to pay him, and he wouldn't take our money. He was so apologetic for missing the appointment.
And he said, "No, you're not going to pay because I didn't come. I left you sitting here and I didn't make it here on time." And we're like, "You had an emergency surgery. I mean,
he's an important person, so." And
we really only waited about an hour total before he got there. And I was thinking in my head, I've gone to the doctor in the U.S. and waited 2 hours, and they basically were like, "Oh, you're lucky that we're going to see you today." They're running late. So but he wouldn't take any money. He was like, "No," and he did everything, and it was fantastic.
So he gave me some medicine. Well, he prescribed it, and then I went right there to the pharmacy that was right next door.
Now that we were all done with Esperanza's appointment for her legs, we also scheduled a dermatology appointment because we wanted to get our skin looked at since we're down here in the sun, and there are no dermatologists here. We had our doctor, who is just like an internal medicine doctor, here look at us, but we wanted to get a dermatologist. So we went there and we saw Dr. Valentine at the dermatology clinic, and it was right in the same clinic where the cardiologist is. Yeah. So literally you just walk down a little bit and go into the dermatology office. They do all the different skin tightening, laser treatments, tattoo removal. They do Botox, all that stuff here. But they also do real dermatology. Again, there was a nurse that was helping the doctor. Yeah. And the doctor came in. We did 2 appointments, one for each of us, so we were each in our own rooms. And the doctor was just so thorough. Stripped down, doctor looked me over. But I've had skin checks from a dermatologist that literally took like 3 minutes, 2 minutes. They just look at you like this. Okay, it's all fine.
And give you that little card that says, if anything looks like this, then come back.
Yeah. This doctor spoke perfect English. And by the way, everybody has spoken very good English this entire time we're there. He goes over me. I mean, you were in a different room, so you'll tell what happened to you. But, I didn't have anything, but he looked over everything. He, felt everything. He goes, feeling it is almost more important than looking at it, because you can feel more information than you can get visually of how it feels. Every inch, spent at least 20 minutes going over everything and looking at every single spot and describing, this is a scar that healed up and made a little keratosis. This is this. Don't worry about this. And so he was super thorough, went over all that. And then
Yeah, he had me just stripped down to my underwear and then gave me one of those paper gowns to wear. And he never looked at my breasts. He was very, respectful. But he looked at the rest of my body, and it was kind of funny because he looks at me and he goes, "You have a lot of moles." Like it was going to take a long time. But he went over everything, and then that's why I have this thing on my nose. And then I have one on my arm because it was precancerous, and because it was bumpy or something, and so he froze them off.
This is all the skin check, froze them off right there at no additional appointment or come back later or anything. And then both appointments, even though they froze 2 things off with yours, 2 spots off with yours, we were both the same, 1,000 pesos each, which is like
60?
Yeah, like $60 each for the dermatology appointment. And again, all this is just paying you out of your pocket. It's not no insurance whatsoever. We had a fantastic, successful trip to La Paz to do these medical appointments. Also, while we're there, we never miss a chance to go to some of the stores we don't have here. So they've got Walmart, Sam's Club. They have big Mexican grocery stores like Soriana and Chaduray. And so you can get some stuff that you can't get here, and you can get some bulk stuff from the U.S. at Sam's Club that you can't get here. So whenever we're in La Paz, we take advantage of that and get some, and they have Home Depot there too. And so Home Depot will also have some stuff that you can't get here. And so we actually went to all those stores and got some stuff from them. And we stayed at our favorite hotel at the marina. I think it's called the Marina Waterfront Hotel. It's at the marina on the far east side or north side of the Malecon. It's really inexpensive, like around it was like $79 a night. And you get this incredible breakfast buffet. It was free included with the room for $79, 2 buffets. So we each got a buffet for $79 included in the price. Nice clean room. They got a pool. They have a hot tub. It's right on the marina, so you can sit there and look at beautiful yachts, multi-million-dollar yachts, and they have a bar right there in the hotel on the marina. So it's a really cool place, good prices, and that's usually where we stay when we go to La Paz.
Very nice.
I hope you enjoyed hearing about kind of our medical procedures here and what we have to do. You know, some of it's because we live in a small town, so we have to go to a bigger town to get some of our medical stuff done. But, you know, it gives us a chance to go to La Paz and get some stuff we wouldn't normally.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching, and never forget to live before you die.